We haven't done a live in a minute. I'm very excited for this.
Oh, look, our friends are here.
My brain hurts. It's been a heavy, like, thinking day.
Just today?
It's been a lot. Yeah. So I'm doing shots. I should have gave you one. These little fun magic mind. Do I need to do the influencer thing?
Yeah,
you taught me how to do it. Like,
yep, right there.
Oh, your head.
There you go.
Away. Yeah. Anyhow, this is not brought to you by Magic Mind, but it is going to be brought to you by Magic Mind here. So.
Yes. So why are we drinking this?
Well, my break. Okay, so this wasn't in work. Okay, let me slow down. Today is Boobies, Bodybuilding, and Bullshit. We've got our boobies out. We're going to bullshit. We're going to talk about bodybuilding. We're going to give you life updates. But to your question,
right?
I was diagnosed with ADHD,
right?
ADD, probably 4 months ago. So I have been testing some ADD medicine, some ADHD medicine. Not testing, I've been taking it, Vyvanse. So it works fantastic. And I'm getting like triple the amount of work done, which is crazy. But then after usually about 2-3 p.m., it's like breaks. Like it just, it stops working. And then I turn into a squirrel in a rave all over again. Oh, so I'm using Magic Mind. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm getting it everywhere, but I'm kind of using it midday to give me a little bit of like some more focus and just chill and shit like that to sort of down regulate. I just made a mess. So yeah, that's why I'm taking it.
So I'm just going to say this because I think this is like a big thing with anybody who owns a business or works for themselves has some type of issue with staying on task.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's right.
I mean, I think it's common. It's common.
Yeah.
You do see that. I think it is a curse of a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners or creatives where your brain it feels like it always has like 10 tabs open because you're like, oh, I want to do this thing. I want to do that thing, so that feels very much true for me.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Okay.
Here I am.
I mean, I watch Shark Tank and stuff. Those people all seem like they have ADD. It's fine.
Oh, well then, okay.
I also have a question because, hi friends. We have you guys on the live because we haven't done this in a while, but we're also videoing for the podcast.
On YouTube's right here. So, hi, YouTubers.
Hi, YouTube. I feel like we should make sure that we're looking at both of our friends.
Yes.
At the same time.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
Hi, YouTube trolls that like to leave comments, keep busting me and booping me up the algorithm. Yes, we love that.
Yeah, if you guys are on YouTube, I mean, it's not just us, it's everybody. If you ever read somebody's comments, these people got way too much time on their hands.
Yeah, please just go visit my YouTube channel so you can LOL at the trolls that have really nothing better to do with their time.
Wait, I'm a little upset because somebody was like, I don't like the sarcastic one. And I was like, wait, which one is the sarcastic one?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Apparently it was me.
But it's okay.
No, I'm fine. It's great. I think it's just hilarious.
Great. Well, let's dive in. I think we've warmed them up enough.
Yeah.
We have some cues. Actually, I had some come through from a story that I did last night, that I didn't answer yet. And then we're going to dive into some life updates, which it's kind of funny because you and I are always like,
what are we doing? That? We don't even know what we're doing.
Who cares about that shit? But what's funny is that when we look at our statistics on the podcast, those ones have like some of the most downloads, not like the most, but they're pretty popular.
But is it because people want to know what people do when they're not
doing the things?
Yeah.
Wow. I just know exactly what you meant. That makes absolute sense to me. Does that make sense to anyone else?
Get out of my brain.
They want to know what we're doing when we're not doing the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think it's just curiosity. I mean, I know that when I started my bodybuilding journey, my fitness journey, I always wanted, like, if there was somebody that I wanted to aspire to look like, like I wanted to know what it was like they were eating, how were they training, like all the things, they were influencing, not knowing they were influencing back then, 17
Do you think?
years ago.
You think?
Yeah, kind of, I think in a sense, but anyhow, so we're going to share some life updates. We keep getting asked when we're competing again. I mean, it's not like people are like blowing at my DMs, but it's enough for me to be like, okay, we need to talk about this again.
I get asked a good amount, especially in the studio, especially since shows just passed.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like everybody wants to know because I feel like there's this thought that people think like, well, if you compete one time, you got to compete every time.
Yeah.
No.
Right. It's definitely something that I think people assume like once you compete and you're a bodybuilder, then that's just what you always do. Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, it's like any other sport. You would think like your favorite sports players were going to go into their next season or whatever.
Right. But I feel like the sport is different.
It's very different. It's the demands are much different.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's easier or harder either way. It's just there's a different set of variables you have to consider before you move into another show.
Right. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So we'll go over that. We're going to talk about, just kind of give you some updates on like my life. Not that I feel like it's extra exciting or important, but there's been some like, I don't want to say rumors because that sounds like I'm so important that people want to talk about me and that's gross.
I mean, there's always going to be rumors, but there's always rumors. We live in a small town.
Yeah. So I'm going to cover some of those like things that have come up and then really like our body goals and things that what we're doing in terms of our own fitness and stuff, which also kind of are broadly intertwined with a competition conversation.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go over like some fun things that we're doing for New Year's and just kind of share the excitement there. But the first question that came through that we're going to cover is somebody had asked, I listened to your HRT episode, which is short for hormone replacement therapy, and was wondering what is considered an optimal testosterone range in female athletes.
So before we answer that, can we kind of just dig just a little bit into what it is about the HRT and what we send women for?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go? You were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Well, so this question I'm going to kind of answer twofold. Because when we're working with clients, it tends to be like we get to know them, we get their check-ins, and if we start to see some yellow flags repetitively with some of their answers to their check-ins, which is like, my periods are terrible, I have zero energy, like I'm waking up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, like these are like, okay, classic ding, 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 like yellow flags, right?
Right.
So that's some of the symptoms and things that we would say like, okay, we need to get you evaluated for hormone replacement therapy. It might be something you want to consider to alleviate those symptoms. And also, P.S., there's some bonus side effects, okay? Like libido,
yes,
energy, mood, motivation, like testosterone, when that starts to diminish in us as humans, men included,
yeah.
You'll start to notice those types of symptoms. So when you start having that looked at and taken care of by way of hormone replacement therapy, a lot of those symptoms improve and it also helps with body goals.
Right.
So for general health for women, I'm not talking about men here, your total testosterone, general ranges you'll want to see somewhere between 35 to 100. Okay.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women, they don't think that they're supposed to have testosterone.
We're still busting that myth.
We're still busting the myth. Yes. You have testosterone and estrogen. So do men. Okay. And the thing is it's not that you don't want to have no testosterone. You need to be balanced to be able to feel all of the things, and just ultimately feel like a real person.
Yes.
I feel like people have no idea about this and that they just live through life and they're like, oh, this is just how I feel now that I'm over 45.
Yeah. And I know there's like only a handful of people watching right now on Instagram Live, and that's our fault because we haven't been consistent
we don't do this.
with doing our lives. But if you are on Instagram Live or you're on YouTube and you do hormone replacement therapy, I would love for you to drop in the comments or in the chat there who you go to and who you see, because there are people all over the US that listen to the podcast. And we're finding that, not only the US, honestly, all over the world.
Yeah.
I do have people that are reaching out to me in different countries that are like, hey, I really loved your episode on HRT. However, those clinics are not able to service me because I'm in a different country.
Right.
So if you know of somebody, please post that in the comments. That'd be super helpful over on YouTube and of course here on Instagram to just kind of help spread the HRT love. But now in terms of athletes, generally it's not uncommon for us to see our female bodybuilding athletes in the 80 to 110 range. So it's going to be the upper end of that range, my female athletes. And again, that is mainly for the purposes of preserving muscle tissue while they're in an extreme caloric deficit and doing a lot of training and cardio and putting their body under a lot of that stress. The testosterone will help them retain that tissue and also help with all the other things that I was mentioning earlier.
Right. And then like when we're talking about testosterone, I think people are going to be like, well, how do you take that?
Oh, yeah. Well, there are several ways to take your hormone replacement therapy, right? You have creams. So your doctor can prescribe you a cream that usually goes like on your forearm. It can go in your labia. It could go on your inner thigh. Particularly not my favorite method, just seems to be a little inconsistent with dosing. It wipes off if you put on a sweater, it transfers onto other areas. I just haven't seen the best, and it takes a lot longer to nail down the right amount of clicks and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Then we also have the injectable, which tends to be the most predictable, at least to my knowledge, right, in terms of dosing, because it's standard, right? You're pulling the same amount every time out of a needle. You're injecting it in your glute or your shoulder, whatever, having somebody help you with that. And then you have the pellet, which there's a little bit of controversy there because when you get it inserted, I think it's like the size of like a little bean or something, but it goes into your hip. And I have heard that sometimes like the dosing can be real high in the beginning and then it tapers down and things like that. And I just am not a fan of inconsistent stuff. So for me, I just prefer to do the injection. I've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds scary, but once you get over it, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Although I almost killed you one time.
It's fine.
I was like, oh my God, she's never going to let me do this ever again.
And you never have.
No, and I never have.
I never have.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, it was traumatizing a little bit.
For you, I hope. I was fine.
Yeah, it was a little traumatizing for me. So that was the question on HRT. Did I miss anything there?
No, I mean, just to kind of touch on that a little bit more on the HRT, is it's not just testosterone, you guys. It's your estrogen, it's your thyroid, it's something we're going to touch on later because Diane did just have her hormones checked again. But like our leptin, if you guys have been around for a long time, you know that we've been talking about this. Leptin Linda.
Yeah.
And leptin Lucy.
That's us.
That's us.
The lack of leptin twins.
If you don't know what leptin is, it is the hormone in your body that basically tells you when you're full. We had none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I just had all my labs drawn, which I did post in my stories, I think last week when I went and had 12 vials of blood drawn. I just got my results yesterday. And I've been having some issues with getting my testosterone this time around. And so I have not, just because the pharmacy is like, it's a Rite Aid issue. It's not a me issue.
Right.
It's you, not me. And so I haven't had a shot for, I think I'm coming up to about 4 weeks. And so my testosterone was at 20. That's why I've been really tired, moody, cranky, crying.
Yeah.
Emotion-y. What's that? Why is there water coming out of my eyes?
Stop with all that nonsense.
Yeah. But
we're getting a lot of comments up here on Instagram that are talking about HRT. Once you start HRT, do you have to continue forever? Not necessarily. I mean,
it's not like there's somebody's like, you have to, or you're going to die. So that's the extreme case of it. But why would you not want to? You will feel so much better.
And then the other comment is so helpful getting on testosterone replacement to get my levels up and normal. So that's the thing is most folks, most women are not even in a normal range. Like right now, Diane is not in a normal range for her testosterone.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Right.
And the problem is that she feels it.
Yeah, I'm definitely noticing it. In fact, today I went and did glutes at the gym. And I don't know if it's placebo effect, if it's my head or what, but I'm like, on the leg press and I'm like, why is this so heavy today?
Right.
And it was like, last week I did 9 plates total. So I had 5 on one side, 4 on another. And then today was 3 and 3. And I was like, smoked, like done ski.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this lack of testosterone is definitely doing a thing. So I need to get back on my shots.
This is a good one right here. My doctor advised that the test shot causes male features in women. So she wouldn't prescribe because of that. Made me use the cream.
Well, I think that's kind of ignorant personally.
Listen, you're not taking like shots.
If you literally saw like how much juice is in here, okay? Like this is my magic mind bottle. I just drink out. Do you see that? That's how much testosterone I inject every week. Okay. Like not really, but just to give you a visual of it's very, very minimal. I don't abuse it. There are people that do. And if you're abusing it and you're taking a dose that's going to supersede what your normal values should be on your labs, then that statement is indeed correct. But if you are doing this to bring your natural female levels or your natural levels of testosterone as a female to normal, then it should have no androgenizing effects.
Right. I mean, let's be real, right? Your doctor at least gave you the cream. However, you're going to be waiting for that to work a lot longer than if it was just like, give me the shot, let me get through it. And like, I honestly, like if I'm telling you, I don't know about you, but if I'm off my shot for a couple of weeks and then I take it, I feel completely different the next day.
Yeah, you do always mention that to me. You're like, I feel so much better. I had my shot, 3 days ago or whatever. Yeah. And you just kind of like, you just notice it. It really truly is a game changer in terms of, like I said, mood, libido, strength, keeping your body fat lower, energy, motivation, mood. Man, what am I forgetting? I mean, I'm making it sound like it's a miracle drug. It's not. Like you still have to do the fucking work. Like your muscles aren't just going to appear, but it does make everything just hot. Okay. So let's move on. One thing I really wanted to dive into is, let's dive into the juicy stuff, right? Because like the Olympia just came and went, and then we had clients compete this past weekend. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of had the bug. I
was like looking at the girls on stage and I was like, oh, I kind of want to put a sparkly bikini on and like
do all
strut my stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing that stops me.
What stops you?
Is the things that you got to do to get there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's be serious for a second. She says,
do it.
Because actually, I think I can pull it up here.
Oh gosh.
Let's see.
Right there.
Right here. So somebody asked me, I'm going to just pop it up there on Instagram. You guys should be able to see it on your end, which is any thoughts about competing in the Modesto show? Somebody had asked me that. So for those of you that are like, what the fuck does that mean? Well, our town, the town which my business is in a city called Modesto. One of the promoters that we work with often, which is Spectrum Fitness Productions, I did a seminar with them last month, and they said to me like, hey, we're doing a show in July. It's going to be in Modesto. We would love for you to bring the team. Hell yes, of course, right? We're going to try to band up as many Goddess Body Elite Team girls as possible to go to that show and compete, right? And we're going to show up and we're going to show out. But as far as myself competing, right, it's possible if they had a pro division and I could technically compete in July. However, yeah, go ahead.
When would you have to start for that?
Well, if I was competing in July, I would start like January 1st. No doubt. No questions asked.
And, everybody's going to get like on their shit in January, right? But I don't think some people understand the on your shit that you got to get on to be on stage.
Yeah, it's a different on your shit kind of vibe.
And I also think everybody needs to realize that you're a pro now.
Yeah.
And it's not just NPC.
No.
It's a different platform.
It's definitely a different platform.
I think everybody wants to run and be like the pro as quick as they can, but all you're doing is running to get to the top of something so you can be at the bottom of the next thing.
Yes. And what she means by that is everybody wants to be a pro. And then when you turn pro, you start back at the bottom of the totem pole because now you're competing in a pool of athletes that likely have been doing it for a long time, have got a lot of face time in front of judges because they're doing it, they're competing.
They're Olympians.
Yes. And all of the bodies are like prime show horses. Okay.
Right.
It's not like the ponies at the farm. Okay. And then there's one stallion. No, it's like you're in a sea of stallions.
Yeah.
And then they have to decide who the best stallion is. I'm sorry I'm referring to us as like fucking show horses and farm animals, but that's the reality of it, you know?
We're kind of like centaurs.
We are centaurs, but that's not to say like, oh, I don't want to compete because the competition's too fierce. No, that is not it at all. I actually really enjoyed my pro debut. I thought it was great to be up there with Jessica Reyes-Padilla, who was second at the Olympia, and I got fifth at the show she was at.
Yeah.
So I ain't mad about that shit. But let's talk about our apprehensions.
I was like, but what?
There's a big but.
There's a big but. Yeah.
Yes.
The things that it takes away from your life, because you're basically switching one thing out for another, right? There is no like half-assing to a show. It is all in. And it is all in for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody ask me today, they're like, well, what if somebody like in shape, how long would they have to prep? And I was like, in shape, what do you mean? Like me? And she's like, yeah, like you. And I'm like, 6 months. She looked at me like I was nuts.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? And then I was talking about another one of our coaches and I was like, oh, Monica too. Monica would have to, be in a 6 month prep. And she was like, where does Monica have fat? And I'm like, you'd be surprised, friend. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot. So I'm going to let you take the floor and let's talk about how you feel about competing right now, as far as what that, because the reality of it is if you want to compete in 2024, your ass better be doing some shit about it right now. Like you better figure out who your coach is. You should be training religiously at this point consistently if you want to compete next year. And you should be reverse engineering that process. Like I was always doing it like 6 months to a year in advance when I was competing. Like, what am I doing? What shows am I doing? As long as I knew the schedule, I was trying to figure that out.
Right.
So for you, let's talk about we know why you love it, right? But let's talk about the reasons why you maybe are hesitating or what your considerations are.
Okay. So basically, why am I hesitating? I'm thinking about this. I'm like, okay, how much time am I going to be able to actually give to this sport? Because when I do it, like if you guys have watched before, I go all in. It is literally all in. There's no days where I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. That's not what's going on. So, my job, business is busy. Am I going to want to do less for my clients because I need to do more for me? No, I don't. I really love my clients. I feel like whenever they come under, like with me as a coach, they're like part of my family. Mm-hmm. Like they're my friends. I care for them. I want them to succeed. And I don't want my things to stand in the way of that. Right.
Right.
Also, I don't want to be spread thin. Okay. There was a time when I was competing and I was coaching and I had a full-time job. Mm-hmm. And I was doing check-ins up until midnight. Yeah. Also, waking up at 3:30 so I can do my cardio at 4 because I taught at 5.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I don't want to be spread too thin. I also, I have a balance right now a little bit. It's getting like even more better. Like obviously we're busy, but I feel like, I can drive out here. I can see my friends.
Yeah. Which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Because people are like, what does that even fucking
mean? I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm able to do some things that I want to do with my friends, with my family. My husband just asked me yesterday or this morning, he's like, can we go to Tahoe? And I'm like, okay, well, let me check my schedule. Mm-hmm. I've got to check my schedule for that. But if I was in prep, I would tell him no.
Yeah.
I would say no.
And, I can already hear the critics who are like, you
can still do it.
Your prep shouldn't interfere with your,
it does.
Good for you, buddy. But the reality of it is that we tend to be a little asshole-ish in the off season. And that's on us, right? That's our onus. We know that. And we also know that when we go into prep, we don't have time to have whoopsies, right?
No.
Like there's no time for whoopsie. Ooh, I was an asshole this week
or
whatever.
You tell me, I really don't think I've ever cheated on a prep.
No. And that is also another thing that is unique to you, at least as we've been coaching and I've coached you through all your shows, is like, I know you're just going to do what you're told, right? Like I'm going to give you a meal plan. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to do all the things and you're going to execute them.
Right.
Right. So you know how much that takes, how much energy, inertia, and basically restructuring your life to make that work. And so you do. But the problem is that you have to be ready for that. And it has to work with the chapter of your life that you're in. And that's not always ideal for everybody. And so there's that, right? You feel right now you have a good work-life balance. It's better, right?
Yeah,
it's improved
so much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that I think I got to ask this question today too, is like, how much does it cost?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, one, you need to get a coach. Okay. Coaches can be anywhere from $200 a month to $800 a month.
I mean, I was paying, how much was I paying?
I think it was $800.
I think it was more than that. I think it was like $1,200.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So it can be expensive. And listen, that's just your coach. Those people are just telling you what to do. That's not the food. That's not the supplements. You know, you also have to think, are you going to be natty? Are you going to be doing PEDs? Those are things. Another thing about that is, what I say, you got to buy a suit, $600. You got to pay to get into being your NPC card or your IFBB pro card, right? That's like your license. You have to have that even to compete, right? That's another $150. And then each category, each division is like another $150.
So we aren't going to go into the deep dive cost of competing because we have probably like 2 episodes for that, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into the Boss Bitch archives, you'll see podcasts about competing costs and all that stuff that you should consider.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just did an interview with one of my athletes, Stephanie Hayes.
Yeah.
And I was telling her about how, you know, people just don't realize like how much all the things take, right?
Oh, yeah.
All of the things. But it's entirely doable, right?
Yeah, it's totally doable.
You usually figure out a way.
Absolutely. I mean, so it costs investment. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to spend my money on traveling.
Oh, I know what I was telling her.
What?
Before I forget my thoughts. I was telling her that I feel like most of my podcast is like trying to talk people out of competing.
And we're like, go ahead, let me be your coach.
Yeah. And let me just clarify, that's not what I'm doing. Yeah. I just like to give people
honest,
my experience, my, you know, working with athletes and clients and things like that, worst case possible scenarios. So if one of these worst cases ends up being you, you're not like, oh my God, I did not know. She did not tell me, you know? So there's that. So
right.
That's all I want to say.
So that's the thing. It's like, I have different goals right now. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not going to compete yet.
Yeah.
But as of right now, where my brain's at, she kind of wants to hold off. Right. Another thing too, is I'm feeling really good.
Finally.
Like really good. And I don't feel like I need to eat the pantry. You know, I eat really well during the week. I'm able to kind of have some things while we're going out on the weekends. And, you know, I feel great.
Yeah.
I don't want to wreck everything that I've already been working, you know, it's been a year and a half almost trying to get back to normal. So,
and you did, how many shows did you do? 4, 3, almost back to back-ish?
3 back to back-ish, and then 1 last year.
Okay. So you've done 4 shows. 3 were pretty consecutive. And then I don't think you had a very long off season before we put you into the next show.
No, August was my last show. And then I had the off season till January.
Yeah. That's not very long.
It's the day. And then we competed in July. We shot for June. And I was not ready. So we pushed it to July.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to kind of tell you is like, you may not be ready.
Yeah.
And I may not be ready either.
Also, for those of you on the gram, hello, happy Wednesday. I thought it was Wednesday yesterday. It's 3:00. Thank you for joining us. If you guys want to just like contribute any cues or anything at any point, feel free to post in the comments there and we will circle back to that in case we miss it. But we love that you're here with us. Thank you so much. Now, in terms of, so you have Amanda's updates, like this is where she's at. There's really like no hard no. It's kind of like not right now. And like, I don't want to talk about it right now, because if I start talking about it right now, that means that I need to think about when that's going to happen next year. Right.
Asking me to get in 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, we were together this weekend for their athletes competing in Sacramento. And I told her, I said, I think you should compete in November. Not necessarily like, I think you should compete in November, but I think if you're going to compete again, you should do it in November in just my opinion.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I don't know. Now, as far as myself, I haven't competed since 2021. And for me personally, there's three main pillars as to why I won't compete. Now I don't want to say never, because I feel like it's one of those things where like, it's like when you're a parent and you're like, my kid would never. And then they do that shit.
Okay.
You never say that as a parent.
No.
So I feel like I never want to say never. However, where it stood the same for the last 2 years. Now the Olympia came, I got the feels. Miss Jennifer Dory won first place. I think she's absolutely amazing. And it just made me miss the stage. Right. Mm-hmm. And I had this like super reflective moment. And I was like, fuck, I miss that so bad. Like I never was a kid that did shit. Right. So I love that whole performance piece of it. And then I sat there and I thought to myself, okay, bottom line, if someone, I know this is morbid, held a gun to your head, what is the main reason why you never want to do this again? And for me, it's the food piece of it. And I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's one of those things where it's affected my leptin levels, my hormone levels that tell me when I'm hungry and when I'm full. And I feel like the last 2 years have been like, with regulating that, have been like, I've been like in a bumper car, right? It's like, oh, things are good. Oh, shit. Oh, whoops. You know, like that's how it's felt.
That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah. And I've been explaining this to my clients this past week in check-ins. And the way that I'm describing it to them is because they're in the off season right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling them they're doing fantastic, right? The problem is that when you're in prep, you are so dialed in, right? It's like boom, boom, boom. There's no time to think. Everything you got a plan. Your coach has told you what to do. You just fucking execute. You're a robot, right?
Right.
As soon as you get out of prep, it sounds like, oh, how hard could it be? I'm in the off season. I'm just follow my coach's plan. I'm going to do all the things, right? It's not that easy, right? And some people may want to argue and say, yeah, or is this bites, licks, and tastes? That it is. In my experience, and for a lot of my clients, it's not that easy. Okay. No. And then you add on the hormonal components that are disrupted because of prep for us, which has been our leptin, and for dieting for extended periods of time. It also has fucked up our thyroids a little bit too.
Yeah.
And again, we're extreme cases because when we do shit extreme. So that's not the case for everybody. FYI.
No, it's not.
But for that first year after competing, I started really looking into this whole situation with my leptin, and I had a consultation with a doctor who worked with a really well-known YouTuber, Stephanie Buttermore.
Yeah.
And if you go check her out, if you know any of this resonates with you, check out her YouTube. She is she's a scientist, I believe.
Yeah, she is.
And she is engaged to
Jeff Nippard.
Giant YouTube followers, and we're getting thumbs up over on the gram and hopefully over on YouTube as well. But I followed her journey. I kind of became obsessed with that. Like, how did she fix her insatiable appetite? And so I had an appointment with this doctor, and she kind of told me, like, gave me some guidelines. And then I was like, I gotta do this thing. Right. So I was really uncomfortable. I was like 170 pounds for a minute. Do you remember that?
We all were.
Yeah.
We all were. We couldn't even tie our shoes.
No,
we were
I was really struggling. I wish I could find some pictures, but I probably didn't take many at that time. And it wasn't that I didn't love my body and all that. I was like, it's cool. It is what it is. Like, I'm not like crying about it and shit. I just wanted to feel better and kind of fix that problem. So I didn't want this whole episode to be about that. But essentially, I'm in a really good spot now. None of that is an issue. I can be around a tray of brownies. I could not be before. No. I would eat the whole fucking tray.
Yeah.
I can be around things. I can be at dinner. We went to dinner this weekend. I had like a chicken burger, like a grilled chicken sandwich and fries. I think I had 4 fries and I'm like, I'm good. Like, I just needed a couple, I was like, we're throwing that away. I don't care if the food police come.
Right.
So and now I can understand what it feels like to be satiated and full. And I'd say that's probably been like that for the last like 6 months, maybe 8. And I like that. I enjoy that. It feels good. I've lost 10 pounds since that whole mess. And I'm, we're now way the same. Basically fixed it too.
Again.
And right now I'm sitting at like 155. I feel good. I like how I look. I still feel like I look athletic and all that. So that's my main reason. I don't have the food obsession anymore. And I know that I don't want to say like I'm not out of the woods, but I would not want to play with that theory.
Yeah, I don't think we're technically out of the woods. I think there's definitely a little bit of a smolder in there.
It is.
It's a little like smolder.
It's just like a little linger. Like, don't forget about me. I'm the hunger demon, and it's inevitable. When you go into prep, you're going to be hungry. That's the point.
Right.
I think a lot of people are alarmed by that.
Not working.
Don't you think that people are like alarmed?
Oh my God, I'm hungry.
I'm really hungry. Yeah, bitch, you're forcing starvation upon your body so it eats all the body fat and we can see your muscles.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell a couple other people, because we've been kind of going through this leptin journey where we always feel hungry or we're like, listen, I crave everything all the time. There is never not a time where I want to crave a Cinnabon, okay? Fucking put that shit in my mouth.
Yeah.
All right,
crumble cookie.
Crumble cookie, yes, that's right. So the thing is like the best way that I feel like I've gotten through this whole like leptin thing. Like, I don't think she's fixed, but the best way that I can kind of combat that is I make sure I know what I'm going to be eating, right? For breakfast, lunch, dinner's usually a little willy-nilly, but I make sure that everything that I eat is on time.
Yeah.
Because if I let myself wait too long and then I go to eat, I'm going to eat everything.
Yes.
Like all of the things. Because then my body's not going to know when I'm full because I'm just going to keep shoveling and shoveling. And then by the time I notice that I'm full, it's going to be too late.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was a point, I don't know about you, but there was a point like right after my last show where I was binging probably at least once a week.
Oh yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
And like my binges were like, I would stand in the kitchen and I would just, because I don't buy shit to have in my house that is like bingeable, I guess, really. Like there ain't
Oreos.
It's very rare that
there
you're
ain't Oreos here.
No, yeah. But I would be like rice cakes, peanut butter jelly, like cereal, rice cereal.
Stupid.
It sounds really stupid.
But in the amount that it was at that point, it's not stupid. It's needs to be pulled back.
Right. So that was happening. And then then those episodes gradually subsided. And I think I've maybe had some spread, and I wouldn't even call them binges. It was just like, I was stressed and I'm just like a squirrel.
Right. You're like, what's that?
What's
that?
And it was usually, I don't know about you, which it sounds like, you're very intuitive with it now, where you're like, okay, I'm doing this because of these things that happened or did not happen throughout the day.
Right. Well, we actually just talked about this. This happened to me a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yes.
It was a couple of weeks. And I was like, it wasn't anything crazy. It was like same thing. It was like rice cakes and almond butter. And then
this is a confession about to happen.
No, I already told you. Remember, I made the concoction. I was like in the pantry, right? And there was nothing to like pre-cooked that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. And so I looked in the pantry and I was like, ooh, there's a can of chili.
Oh my God. Yes.
So I heated up the can of chili, but in order to make myself feel better about it, I put more turkey on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is something I would never eat. So then when I talked to her and I told her about it, right? Because I'm like, hey, friend, this is what happened. I was like, the whole time it was happening, I was like, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I feeling like I need to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's something that happens
that triggers it.
Yeah, that triggers it, whether it be stress, you know, I don't know.
And sometimes you're just like genuinely hungry, right?
Yeah.
And you're just
hormones.
Anna said gross. Yeah, it is pretty nasty, Anna. She's a savage beast.
I can't help it. But it was delicious, actually.
Sometimes, it can be, and this is something that I try to just deep dive into with clients. This is like out of our scope of practice. We are only talking from experience.
Right.
But I will generally say like, okay, like usually, it was lack of sleep, stress, something that triggers it. And then it's like, okay, I can't stop eating. So I think we beat that down. So yeah, I'm not competing because the diet is a trigger for me to go back into that disordered eating, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my favorite. And then the second reason, because I said there were three, the second reason is that I don't want to say that my role has shifted in the business. It's just, I'm growing the business and my role is changing and other people's roles are changing. And so that needs a lot of time and attention. And I don't want that to fall through the cracks, like you were saying, right? You said like when your focus goes into prep, other things tend to get a little sloppy. And sometimes it can be simple things in the business that actually make the biggest impact that get forgotten.
Right.
And I don't want to slip into that. And then thirdly, I'm in a relationship right now. And
shoot.
And I'm very happy and I'm enjoying that. And I want to be all in that experience without any kind of restriction or strain or anything. And prep does that. Prep does that to a single person.
Yeah.
And if you are in a relationship or a partnership, it's going to put strain. And that's something that I know my partner would support me. And he'd be like my biggest fucking cheerleader. But I also know that I turn into a little bit of a prep demon and he doesn't deserve that. He's a nice guy.
He's a nice dude.
We want to keep him around.
We like him.
So I'm just, I want to focus on other things and deliver the experience for my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So there's that. Now, other body goals, since we're on that topic, just because we're not competing does not mean that we stop doing the things that we're doing. We just aren't getting on stage, right?
We're not doing it as hard or as often.
Correct.
The cardio more than anything.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's talk, since I just capitalized most of that conversation, let's talk about where you're at with your training, diet, cardio, supplementation, stress management. We'll just go through that. And you guys can get an idea of what that looks like for a competitor or an athlete who is still a bodybuilder. They're just not competing.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So like training definitely has been pulled back, right? I've got a lot going on. So I fit it in where I can get it in. I'll tell you guys right now, there was a month-ish, probably about 3 weeks, where I was just in a space and I could not get my ass to the gym. So what I did is I changed my scenery and I'm loving it now.
Okay.
I'm hitting, some weeks it's 3. Biggest goal is 4 days a week and I'm hitting lower body and I've even added in a little bit of upper body. I don't train upper body very often, but I'm kind of missing it. So I brought her back in. I got a Peloton.
Yeah, that's right.
I got a Peloton and I actually really love it. So the thing is that obviously when Bestie was living near me, right, we would go to the gym and we would literally be there for like 3 hours.
We would.
I don't
get anything done.
Don't know. So I just realized, now that she wasn't there, I was like, I don't have 3 hours to make this happen. So what I've done is I've changed my scenery. I'm working out at Venus Fitness Studio.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine
that.
Yeah, it's great. And then now I have the Peloton, so I can do that at home at any point. So what I needed to do is I needed to sit down and figure out how I was going to fix the problem of me feeling overwhelmed, of feeling like I needed more time to get to the gym. Because I didn't want to let my body go, because I like when if y'all ain't been here for a while, I used to be 280 pounds. Okay. So now me sitting at like 155 is great. Do I sit at that all the time? No. We were just talking about that we were at, roughly 170. Not that I don't love my body at that point. I was just feeling a little uncomfortable. So what I did is now I'm training. I'm back on a little bit of cardio. It's really not that much, anywhere from 3 to 4 days of training. I'm getting maybe 3 to 4 days of cardio, and I'm now down 10 pounds. It's great. I love it.
And you're not really like tracking macros.
I'm not. I told you that the other day. She goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Well, I'm not really tracking, but I've been doing this for a long time. I know what a good meal looks like. I know pretty much by looking at it what the macros are. And so I just know like every meal that I'm having is going to be protein first. Right. And then even at that point, like sometimes I won't even have carbs with my meal. And it's not because I'm pulling carbs. It's just because I don't need it at that point. And I know that if I want that later, I can have it. Right. Like I carry around the little tiny bags of rice cakes. I just pop a few in there and then I feel really good. So my diet is great. The weekends, I'm still going out with my friends. I'm still going out with my husband. And, it's not a complete shit show.
No.
I'm ordering fairly well. If I want to have something that's a little bit off keel, I'll be like, hey, you want to share that?
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
And I think I was telling somebody that story. I think I was interviewing somebody and we were talking about that. And I was just saying like, I'm obviously my boyfriend and I, we enjoy the weekends where we like to go out to different restaurants. Like we explored this really cool little brunch spot in Danville that I was like, we're always like finding shit on Instagram and I'm like sending it to him and he's sending it to me. And then we go and generally like, it's not like a rule. It's just what I like to do is we will usually share something that's a little more fun and like sinful. And then we have like a responsible thing, right? So I'll have like an omelet and all my usuals with like no cheese and like all that stuff. And it's tasty and it tastes good. And somebody else made it for me. So it's always better.
Always better.
And then we'll usually split like something that's a little more decadent and yummy. So instead of me being like, yeah, I'm going to have the deep fried French toast
it's my favorite,
and all this, it was like, we had some mimosas, we had, I had all my protein and all that stuff first. And then we had like these really yummy blueberry pancakes. Ooh. And I had like 3 or 4 bites and I was good because I started with the responsible meal first.
Fill your belly
and then
with
I was
the protein.
Fine. And this has kind of been like our strategy without it really being a strategy. Like it kind
of is a strategy. Like you better.
Because I don't want to feel deprived, but I also don't want to eat like a complete shit show either. Right. Because it's not fun and it doesn't feel good. So.
Right. And then I guess like another thing that we can kind of talk about is supplements. If you guys have been on here for a long time, like I'm doing thyroid medication and testosterone. And that's about it.
Yeah. And then, are you taking all your other like normal supplements? You usually like go off the radar with that.
No. Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, are you taking this? Are you taking that? And I was like,
You're just taking your medications, like your necessary medications.
Yes. I'm taking the medication that makes me feel good. In reality, what I should be taking some fish oil. At least.
Yeah, the supplement guy is on here live. He probably is going to chime in.
I know. He probably is. Well, hey, you know where I live, right?
Yeah.
Take that over to my house. But yeah, I think another thing too, actually to kind of talk about, is I was on Accutane for 6 months.
Yeah.
I almost forgot.
And that does a number to your system.
Yeah. When I was on Accutane, nothing was allowed. The only thing that I was taking was test and fish oil, because there is a couple of side effects with Accutane. I don't know if you guys see my face now. You can go back and you can scroll down on my Instagram, Amanda Glitters, and you'll see where I was at one point. There is a lot of bad rap about Accutane. However, I'm going to tell you, in my experience myself, I felt like it did wonders for my mental health, even though it did kind of have some depressive feelings.
So it gave you like depressive feelings or like blue mood, probably?
Blue mood. Yeah, blue mood. But I felt better because my face wasn't so blown out, right? There was a point where I didn't even want to go to the studio where my friends were to coach because I was so ashamed of how my face looked.
I'm sorry.
So ashamed.
Well, we all love you.
I was like wearing a hat and everybody could tell. They could tell, right? Like my mood was completely different. They're like, what's wrong with you? I didn't want to look people in the face. It was sad. So I'm going to tell you right now, like if you are struggling with hormonal acne or cystic acne, do not turn away Accutane if you are just seeing all of the horror stories. Now, there is a couple of side effects that I personally had. Joint pain was really bad, which made it difficult for me to train, at least to train how I usually train.
Yeah, you were constantly like struggling with your back.
Yeah, my back was very, very sore. And it wasn't even if I was training, it was just sore in general, because what it does is it kind of kills all the jelly in between your your bones.
I'm sure that's not what it's called, but
it's fine. I get it.
The discs dry up a little bit.
Yeah. And it's jelly.
The jelly.
There's some jelly in there, right? So it definitely, I could feel it, right? There was some days where I had a hard time getting out of bed. But for what it was then and where I'm at now, it was completely worth it.
Yeah.
Completely worth it.
And I mean, your skin looks great. And
I never wear makeup.
Your labs have been great.
Yeah,
so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
So that's where you're at. Any specific like body goals? I know it sounds kind of funny when we say it, because I'm just like, I just train.
I do. And the thing is though, is that we still do have a little bit of goals.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is
she knows I want lip gloss.
Yeah, I saw you. We have something planned.
We do. We have something planned, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, but I do have some body goals. I want to lose a little bit more weight. Not because I feel like I need to. I just want to, flaunt a little bit more.
Which we're going to talk about in a second. So stick around, because it's going to get juicy.
That's right.
Okay, so we talked about your training, your diet, which is kind of intuitive-ish eating. Yes. Your cardio, you're doing the Peloton a few days per week. And then your supplementation, and then stress management. What are we doing for stress management? You're coming out here to see
I'm here. I'm absolutely here. Yes. 100%.
Which we're just going to talk about real quick, just because this has come up, like I said, as like weird rumors, which is hilarious to me. So I moved. Now, some of you are like, okay, what's the big deal? Well, my business, my whole life and everything I've been rooted in for
her people,
45 years.
Her people, everything
has been in the Central Valley. So Modesto, Turlock, Hilmar-ish area. So if you're familiar with California and those areas, that's where I've lived my whole life. My kids are there, my parents, my family, everybody, my friends, my fucking business. Okay. Oh, Instagram isn't liking us right now, probably because I said the F word. But I decided that I wanted to explore other cities. Like, I want to live elsewhere. I don't want to be in Modesto for the rest of my life. No. Now, everyone was like, not everybody, but there's people like freaking out, like, oh my God, you're not going to be at Venus. Listen, I haven't been at Venus for like over a year at this point, right? Like, yes, I started the business, but I have trainers that train the clients that work for me there. And so they're a family, they're amazing. They're a well-oiled machine. I trust them with my business. And I'm the puppeteer. Like, I do all the other businessy things to keep the wheels on the bus going round and round.
Right.
Okay. So that's where my role has changed. Does not mean I'm not owning the business or keeping the business. My daughter works there, like, all the things. So if that were to happen, trust me, it would be a public announcement. I would make sure everybody knew. But no, I just moved my location, and I don't think I'm going to plant my roots here in Livermore. I mean, no, I'm not. No offense to the Livermorians. I just don't know. It still feels a little small towny vibe to me, but it's close enough to like Dublin, Pleasanton, the Bay. I'm really, really liking the Walnut Creek area, if I'm being honest, and may or may not have a boyfriend that lives there. So we'll see. Like, I'm going to be here till June, and then hopefully by then I'll make a decision. But right now, I'm in Livermore, still in the business. Nothing's changed. I'm not going anywhere. You can't get rid of me.
Somebody asked if you were going to open another studio. You want to know what I told them?
What'd you say?
I said, you can't clone me. So there's no way.
Absolutely not. I would need another person like this because I wouldn't want to work there. And this is not because I don't love personal training, but I am definitely an entrepreneur at heart. And so my brain is in what other, businesses can I start looking into or investing and things like that. And when you open a business, you're tied to that. It is
your life,
right? You live there. And I don't want to be confined to a location because then that will greatly impede my ability to grow. And so that's where I'm at with that. And I think it would be amazing. I think it would be amazing to be able to carbon copy Venus and do that, because I think that we need more personal training studios that are catered to women that aren't just like boot camp studios, no offense, but and I think that I wish you would see more of that, but unfortunately we're like the only one in the area. So there's that. So no.
Okay.
That's not happening.
Okay.
And then as far as like my body goals, honestly, one thing that happened last week at the gym, and I felt like
I know
I'm doing it right, is I was there by myself. We got a membership at the Bay Club, which is a little bougie like gym. And I was doing like rope pullovers, right? I'm just in shorts and a sports bra or whatever. And
you were in two cheek shorts.
I was, because I'm be feeling myself. Okay.
If y'all don't know what two cheeks are, team two cheeks, that is those shorts where the thong part of the pants goes up your butt and then you have two cheeks.
Yeah, it's team two cheeks, not one cheek. It's like, so it's like it's kind of the way to explain it is like, ladies, when you wear a sports bra and it becomes like a uniboob,
one boob,
right? It's like a big uniboob, right? Sometimes with some sports bras, that's how sometimes like yoga pants can be, or like workout pants and workout shorts. And I am all about the seam all the way in my butthole, and it gives me two cheeks that look nice and juicy. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about. But so a gentleman was on the lat pull down next to me, and I had my headphones in doing my thing. I don't pay attention to anybody that's doing anything unless they're going to hurt themselves. And then he just kind of like went like this to like get my attention and like my peripherals. And so I take out my headphone and he's like, hey, do you compete? And I was like, oh, I love you. So the moral of the story is I just want to look like I bodybuild, or I look athletic.
Right.
That's all I really care.
I want people to tell that I can work out, that I work out in the gym consistently.
Yeah. You see this one in fucking shorts. She can crush a man with her thighs. Yeah. So you're like, fuck, that bitch, like she got some legs.
You want to know a funny story that I didn't even tell you? Is one of her clients, she was pulling up and she had her daughter in the car because she was going to her session, right? And I was just pulling up as well. Well, I got out of the car. She comes in and she goes, she saw Bella said, damn, that girl got some big thighs. And I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Mission accomplished.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. So that's really my body goals. I don't really have like a scale goal. I don't, I mean, I've been getting on the scale lately just because I don't know if I told you, but I didn't like weigh myself for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, never even got on the scale. And then I got on one day and I was like, holy shit, I'm under 55 pounds. That's weird. Like, how did that happen? Last time I'd weighed myself, I think I was like 162 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of like checking in with that, kind of see, because it's easy for us to get squirrely and just too many crumble cookies and to, things like that. And so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. But for me, like I'm training, generally about 4 days a week, some days 5,
right?
2 lower body days, sometimes 3, and then 1 to 2 just shoulders, and maybe I'll do a back thing or whatever. It's not really that big of a deal.
You're reminiscing about your back days.
Yeah, I'm super weak, so nothing exciting is happening there with my back training. And then I'm just really doing more cardio, but not with like fat loss as like, oh, I need to burn calories. It's not even about that. No. It's helping me with my training. So it's helping me recover between sets. I'm getting my workouts done faster. I'm not needing to rest 3 to 4 minutes in between sets. It's more like 60 to 90 seconds and I can get back in.
That's also making your calorie burn higher, and then you can get in, get out, and get on with your day.
Yeah. So that's, that's me. Then cardio is generally probably about, on the days that I have upper body is when I do cardio, or we'll go in and I'll just do cardio and not do anything else, and maybe some abs or whatever. And then as far as diet, we talked about a little bit too. You and I are kind of on the same wavelength there. I'm getting better about eating every 3 hours.
Right.
And there's no magic to that. But the reason why it works for me is because when nighttime comes, I won't eat the pantry. If I just don't eat all day because I'm not hungry, then one, I'm not going to recover properly because I'm not eating enough protein. I'm not going to try to eat all that protein at nighttime. And then two, it helps with my blood sugar kind of stay stable throughout the day. And I'm not a ravenous beast at night most times. If I go too long, I already know it's going to happen. So I'm not following macros. I don't know how many calories I eat.
No.
I think I tried to tally it up a couple weeks ago, and it was like 2,200-ish calories or whatever on one day.
Yeah, I would say like during the week, I'm probably like 1,600 on the weekends. I know that's definitely not that.
It's definitely higher on the weekends.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm maintaining, so that's great. I just want to make sure that my diet supports my training.
Yeah.
So when I'm eating now, I think even more so that I've got more in a routine. My mom's not in the hospital anymore. Like all my life has kind of calmed down. I'm not living between two houses, and like my car ain't broken down. I don't have a country song for a life right now.
Right.
So it's just a little easier to plan out, accordingly, and make sure that I'm eating right. So I'm training right the next day.
Yeah, I think it goes to say like, it's going to be different for everybody. Like for me, I eat at 8. I wake up at 4, you guys. I don't eat till 8 a.m. because if I eat at 4, that just makes my food window much longer, right? So I eat at 8. I eat at noon. I probably have a snack about 3:30. And then depending on if I'm teaching or not, I can have dinner anywhere between like 6:30 and 7:30.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but like for me, when I'm eating every 3 hours, if I was in prep, those meals would be whole food meals, right? It would be like a lean protein of some kind, whatever carb or no carb, depending on where I'm at in prep. And then some kind of veggies, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not in prep. And so for me, I just like to get at least 3 real meals, like whole food meals. And then I'll throw in either a shake and maybe some rice cakes as like a snack, which is technically a meal, or I'll do,
oh, don't tell them about that.
Oh my God, you guys, these are amazing. Okay. I wish I had a promo code. I don't know, but you can get these at NutriShop. But my boyfriend is my protein bar dealer and all my supplement dealer as well. And these are fucking amazing. So I'm just saying.
NutriShop Livermore, y'all.
Yeah, they're 280 calories and it's not very much protein, but
delicious.
Still, I get one of those in and it's so yummy. And then I'll usually have some kind of like nightcap dessert.
Yeah.
Dessert, which is like a rice cake and peanut butter.
She just made us tacos for lunch.
Yeah. I had batch cooked some turkey with some taco seasoning. And then I had some gluten-free tortillas and we had some little, like a little mini burrito. And that was our lunch before we started podcasting.
Beautiful.
So I'm not overthinking it. Like this has become habit for us.
Yeah.
Right. Like protein. What's our protein? Are we going to have a carb? What is that going to look like? How much is it? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then as far as stress management, did you talk about what you're doing for stress management?
I'm hanging out with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like
you take a bath all the time.
I take baths almost every night.
You do like this whole body care thing.
I do. And I'm obsessed with it. Like
I'm doing that.
I love that shit.
No.
And so for me, that
you know
is
what I do?
Fun.
I fucking smoke weed.
Well, I do that too. Sometimes I'm trying not to do it as much just because, sometimes you just turn into a slug and me. So I'm trying to like do that just socially and just kind of leave it at that. But for me, it's like the bathtub time. Jack and I we'll walk around the neighborhood. I'll get on either a podcast or something like that. And I will just walk around my little complex and get some movement in. I'll call my friends. I did that yesterday.
That was fun.
I'm like, I just start dialing people and they're like, why are you calling me? And I'm like, Why not?
Whenever you call, I answer. As long as I see it, I'm like, hello.
And then supplement wise, I mean, I'm on all of my general health supplements, right? Like my multivitamin, omegas, like all the baseline stuff.
You're making me feel guilty. I feel attacked.
I know. We need to get you back on that. We need to get you back. At least start with one thing, right?
Okay.
But in full transparency, we do talk about PEDs and physique enhancing drugs often on this channel. So if you're new here, welcome. And we keep it real. And I've always been honest about my usage of PEDs and all of that. And I have not, since I have stopped competing, have not been like on some serious like cycles and anything that's been heavy duty. However, we do have something planned for New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah.
If you've been here for any stretch of time and you've listened to us over the last year, any of the After Dark episodes, you know that we've been dabbling. Oh my gosh. In surround sound. We've been dabbling in lifestyle parties and things of that nature. If you're not sure what that is, quick Google will tell you. And we do have an event coming up for New Year's Eve, and that is in San Diego. And it's a very scantily clad event. And I guess I do kind of, in a sense, have body goals, but there's real no metric for that for me. I just look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, I like what I'm seeing. I'm seeing my shoulders coming back a little bit and things like that. And so right now I am on a smidge of some supplementation that is not of the legal kind. And so we wanted to talk about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? No, of course.
Just about how this is not something, one, that we're recommending or telling you to do or any of that fun stuff, but it's something that if and when I choose to do it, it is cycled on and it is cycled off. It is not something that is linearly kept into my supplementation routine. And I was telling her earlier that a big part of the reason that I'm very insistent on that is because right before I earned my pro card, I was on for a year. Maybe even longer than that. I was on some PEDs. I'm not going to go into details of like my stack and all that fun stuff.
Right.
And it was at a much higher level in terms of what I was using then because I was getting on stage. I'm doing a smattering now that's just enough to produce the results that I'm looking for New Year's.
Let's be real. Some hormone doctors can prescribe that for you now.
Yes, they should.
So, I mean, there's the thing right there.
Yeah.
I think one thing, like what she's saying right here, is when somebody is on PEDs, they're not necessarily on PEDs forever. You should not be. And if you are, or if your coach or whoever, like the big buff dude at the gym is telling you to, it's wrong. Okay. Yeah. Because you're going to ruin your body.
And I mean, they're not fat burners. So let me just clarify. I would not do and clenbuterol is not even technically, it's not a PED, but it is an illegal fat burner there. Right. It is a medication that is used for other health symptoms, but it also, as a side effect, has a fat burning component that works really well with some other PEDs. Now, I would do that during a prep phase, but I'm not interested in doing that just for a New Year's Eve party. Like, Clen is like, no joke. You're going to be, like, it just does a lot to your CNS and it's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, like I'm responsible. I had my labs done. My liver looks like a newborn baby's liver. It looks amazing. And I keep all that monitored and I'm safe about it. So I feel pretty good about, just doing a little stuff for aesthetic reasons. So there's that. And that's all of our updates for the day.
We just updated our friends for an hour.
I know. How fun.
Remember when we got on here, we're like, we have nothing to talk about.
I know. I'm like, let's brain dump here real quick. But we have that party coming up. Do you want to say anything more about that? I mean, we know because we've been to these lifestyle events and these lifestyle parties.
This is my third event, fourth-ish.
I've been to.
My husband goes with me. It's great. Right. He enjoys it. I'm sure everybody's gonna be like, well, are you in the lifestyle? Are you swinging? No.
We just like the naughty atmosphere.
I love the naughty atmosphere. Everybody is amazingly nice. Obviously, they're all trying to get in your pants too, typically, but it's okay.
It's all you have to do is say the 2-letter word. No. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I'm taking Jack for the first time, so that'll be fun. And maybe I can wrangle him into a After Dark episode and we can chat about it afterwards.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, so for those events, like there's no like dress code, but we want to be showing off
meaning we want to dress less.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, what is the dress codes? I mean, some of them have been like pasties.
Oh yeah.
Pasties. I've worn lingerie type things or like little teddies or whatever. And my stilettos.
One's a onesie party. One is like the Winter Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like it's almost kind of like Playboy and bunnies.
Yes, we saw that.
Yeah.
So it's fun. And it's just, I don't know. I'll
tell you right now. Okay. If you've been listening, you know, I used to rave when I was a kid and I raved hard for a while.
I'm not surprised. Okay. Did you fall when you raved?
Absolutely.
This bitch be falling all the time. Yeah, she just gets crazy and then she loses her balance and then she's on the floor.
It's fine. People pick me up. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like an adult rave. If I went to a rave right now, I would look around and be like, what are all these little kids doing here? They need to go home.
Yes.
These kind of parties, they're all adults. They're obviously making pretty good money because they're not cheap events.
No.
And it's just a really good time.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. So we'll be doing that. And other than that, like the only other fun things in the pipeline, I mean, there's always fun things, but we have the Goddess Body Project, which is launching. We'll be enrolling for that very soon. Yeah. In like 2 weeks.
Launching in January.
Yes. It's our 12-week transformation program. So we do it in studio at Venus. And then we also have an online component. I'm stoked about the online component.
I know there's like so many different things happening. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
We have something for everyone.
We do.
Whatever you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'll be coming soon. We're starting that. The kickoff is January 15th. So we're going to be enrolling up until January 15th. And the online component for me, if, I'm not taking new clients one-on-one online anymore. I do physique assessments and I will, do all that. And then usually if people are interested in working with us, offer up coaching with one of our coaches and who I think would be a good fit. But the online group coaching component for the Goddess Body Project is like a way that I'm going to get to work with anyone who enrolls, but in a group capacity. So it's going to be super fun. Me and Alicia are building.
So if you want a piece of Boss B,
if you want a piece of the bee,
you got to sign up for the Goddess Body Project.
Yeah, which we'll have more information coming soon. But this was super fun.
This was fun.
I enjoyed this. This was good. I miss our Instagram lives. And we should do this again next week.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's the day before Thanksgiving. We'll see.
Ooh, yeah.
Everyone said.
See, everybody said yes. Let's
give us a thumbs up. We love that. Did we miss any questions?
There was a couple that came through.
Let me go back. If you're just joining us, hello. My night weed turns into
a raccoon,
but I need it to sleep.
Well, if you are smoking pot at night, listen, I smoke pot through prep. Okay. The munchies are in your head. Okay. Smoke the weed, get your ass in bed, and do not get out of it.
Exactly.
Do not get out. I literally am like, it's like 8:30, 7:00 sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, bye, I'm going to bed. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm out of food. Fucking tuck me in because that's the last time you're going to see me today.
Exactly.
Tuck me in with my teeth.
Really good point. We had some comments come through. Improvement season is harder than prep. Yes, it is 100%. And then somebody says, preparing for my first NPC show for next summer, would it help to show prep with a buddy?
I'm going to tell you right now, maybe, but I feel like the best that we've ever done is when one person is in prep and the other person is not in prep.
Okay, say more.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because like when you're in prep, I'm like, okay, when are we going to cardio? Like, so, cause I can be as a support. Mm-hmm. If I'm also in prep,
you're focused on you.
Yes.
Yeah, it is definitely, I would agree with that. Have we ever prepped at the same time? I don't think we have.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I mean,
we should ask Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal would know. I think it's great to have people who maybe, yeah. I mean, honestly, you're right.
I feel like, so everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to have this team. We're going to do all these teamy things. No, listen, you are literally, there's like not even time to take a shit when you're in prep.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you got to schedule out your poops.
You're not wrong.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's if you're pooping. I mean, I usually struggle in that department.
It's like, if you are trying to prep yourself, like you have a planner. You have a planner, and it is literally
filled
hour by hour all day long. Like, even if you got to like meal prep your food, like I literally had my dad helping me prep food. I had Save Mart cooking my cod. Like, I was outsourcing as much as I could, and I still didn't have time.
Yes, it's and then your laundry was like a joke.
Still a problem.
Somebody else asks, what are some key things to look for in a coach so you know they are legit and not just a nobody coach?
So I would definitely look at that coach, like look at their what they've done. Mm-hmm. Look at the people that have competed, see who's been on stage, see what they've won. Also, I dare you to talk to their clients. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody's client and be like, what do you think about this, coach? How did it go? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And then get your own take on it. And then also, like, for me personally, I like to talk to people before I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm a great coach for you.
Yeah.
I get on the phone. On the phone. They've watched the podcast, you know, they're on my Instagram, things like that. I very rarely ever get a rando in my DMs.
Yeah, it's so I think, like anything, when you're going to invest your money into something that's important, right? You don't want to go Walmart.
Yeah.
Right. So no offense to Walmart. Like, I love me a bargain just like the next person. But when it comes to your body and your health, if you're looking at coaches, and I hate to sound like a dick, but like pricing is your deciding factor, I personally believe then you should likely save until you can invest in somebody who is going to give you a great experience and that is going to produce a great result, right? You still have to do the work. You know that.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, shop around, check out their Instagram, talk, like she said, talk to I have so many people that I tell people all the time, like, I have nothing to hide. You can ask any of my athletes. And if anybody has anything cross to say about me, great. Like,
not everybody's going to love us.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not for everybody, and I'm fine with that. But you definitely want to look at their befores and afters. And also, something that I think is incredibly important is that you aren't just looking at their star clients. Okay. Because I've had a couple clients on my team who have come to me as genetic phenoms.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And
100%.
Yes, I molded them into what they needed to become to earn their pro cards.
Right.
However, results not typical.
No.
Okay. And I say that, and I'm very upfront about that. Right. I don't hide that from my social media and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. I think that's another thing to say about me too. Cause like when people look at my photos, they're like, oh my gosh, can't believe you did that. You also have to remember, I've been training for 10 years. I didn't just be like, oh, okay, I want to compete. And then I just started training like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And my body looks like this.
Right.
Okay. Like, I've been consistently training for a long time. When I first lost the weight, that's how I did it. I didn't wait to lose weight to start training. I was training as I was losing weight.
Yes, exactly. And you had that foundation. And then once it was time to prep, it was like, okay, like obviously you had built some over the course of the year when we were like the pre-prep to the prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I got that big question too. Like, what if a normal person wanted to compete? And I was like, well, let's say I was already training for 7 years and I had to pre-prep for a year and a half before my show.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
All right, you guys, I think we're going to end on that note. We have definitely got a nice, robust episode here for you. So thank you for listening in over on the gram. If you are still here on the YouTubes, comment below, give us a thumbs up, watch till the end. All right, subscribe.